Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I can defer if you just have a question or two to finish up, Senator. You sure? Okay. I actually want to follow up on a question that our ranking member, Senator Blunt, asked, and it's about the ag research funding, and it's the extramural program funding. At North Dakota State University, they're doing a lot of work on the U.S. wheat and barley scab initiative, and also on the UG99 barley stem rust research program. Both of those have seen administrative reductions of about 30%. And at the state level, we've put a lot of funding into our ag research greenhouse at North Dakota State University. And so I understand that you have to find ways to save, but could you go into a little bit of how you're making that analysis? And I know that Senator Blunt was asking the same question, but through the university system and in states like ours, you know, we're willing to try to design programs to maximize the leverage on that research. So, you know, we need to understand how you're approaching that so that we can, I guess, do the best job possible of attracting those dollars into programs like these two, which are very important to us.
Well, roughly 51% of the resources go into crop and animal production, protection, and productivity. Roughly 18% or so goes into environmental stewardship and the importance of maintaining water quality and quantity. A percentage goes into some of the other areas that are outside of ag, specifically in terms of nutrition and food safety and things of that nature. So it's a broad base of responsibilities we have from a research perspective. And I get a little confused because when we talk at USDA about external and internal, we often refer to the external as the competitive grant program. And our belief is that we have got to do a better job on two fronts. Number one, we have to do a better job of continuing to leverage the resources that we have more effectively. And the competitive grant process allows us that opportunity to have the funding the best projects possible and to really force and compel people to really think about what research they're doing and how they're doing it. Secondly, as great as the university systems are, and they are, and I appreciate Senator Blunt's acknowledgement of our 150th anniversary and that of the Morrell Act, there is no overarching process that establishes the national research goals that would allow us to avoid duplication and replication of research that's taking place in many land-grant universities across the country. And so it's going to be important, I think, for us to have a conversation in a time of limited resources, either at the state level or at the federal level, to do what we're doing at the global level. We have a global research alliance where we're dealing with 30 different countries on climate issues, and we're saying, let's not replicate or duplicate research. Let's make sure the right hand knows what the left hand's doing. I have to feel that there's probably some duplication that's taking place across the country, and maybe we're not investing our research dollars, whether internally or externally, as efficiently as we can. And so somewhere there's got to be a process. The competitive grant process is one way of compelling collaboration, and which is working. I mean, we're making grants now to a university, but that university may have 6 or 7 different other universities that they're partnering with. So I think there's a lot of work in this area. And the last thing I would say, we don't have the advantage that other research areas have. The National Science Foundation, the NIH, our funding has been flatlined for the most part. It hasn't been increased dramatically, and we don't have outside foundations or resources that would allow us to supplement our resources. So I think there's a lot of opportunity in this space for us to do a better job.
Well, I do want to emphasize those two programs too, U.S. Wheat and Barley Scab Initiative, also the UG99 Barley Stem Rust Research Program, because both saw a 30% reduction, which is pretty steep, administratively applied reduction, which I think is significant.
Senator, can I ask for clarification? When you say administrative, so I know what you mean. I think I know what I would mean by that, but what do you mean by that?
Essentially a reduction in this year's funding for those programs, for those research programs,
well,
in terms of what came out to the university to conduct.
I think there has been an effort on our part to make sure that we're not overfunding the administration of grants as opposed to the actual research. There's a difference between how much money goes to the university to sort of administer the university versus how much money actually goes to the research project itself.
No, I'm talking about research for those specific programs, research dollars for those specific
Well, but I'm saying within that grant, there's a certain allocation for administration and a certain allocation for the actual research, and I'm not sure if that's where we're having a communication issue.
No, when I say administratively reduced, I mean USDA actually coming in and on a discretionary basis, reducing actual research dollars for that research. And this is something that I'll be working with Senator Blunt and others on, because I mean this is something that, you know, obviously we're very interested in, and you know, think that this is critically important. The other thing is, in terms of the and I say I'm out of time, so I've got one more question. I can certainly defer for the third round. I know that's what Mark did. Maybe the best I do that.
Go ahead.
Okay, just in the overall budget. The administration's budget, they reduced crop insurance by almost $8 billion. And that's not the, I'm on the Ag Committee as well, and that's not the direction we're going. Clearly, we're not going to have direct payments, and so what we're trying to do is find ways to enhance crop insurance. I'm on legislation with Senator Conrad, Senator Baucus, and others, and there are other bills as well. But crop insurance is going to be more important in terms of a cost-effective safety net. Just give me your thoughts here, because I mean, my sense is you're sympathetic to the tremendous importance of crop insurance, particularly in a situation of tight dollars. That's going the wrong direction. Just your thoughts.
Well, it depends. It depends on where the money is coming from. I mean, clearly, let me state unequivocally that crop insurance is the linchpin of the safety net. But there are three components to crop insurance. There's the amount the insurance company gets, there's the amount the agent gets, and there's the amount that the farmer pays. And all of those are basically supplemented, if you will, by government assistance. We've done an analysis of what insurance companies currently are getting in terms of the return on investment and how much it would take for those insurance companies to be able to maintain the integrity of crop insurance. And what we found was a 12% return on the money would be sufficient to maintain the integrity. Even in a year that was extraordinary, last year, crop insurance companies are still going to net about $1.5 billion, I'm told, of profit. So right now they're getting 14%. So the question is there any adjustment in these tight times between 14 and 12 that could be made that doesn't compromise the process and the crop insurance program at all? Number one. Number two, agents, I think on average, get somewhere around $1,000 per policy for selling a policy. A slight adjustment to that, given the fact that 15 years ago when crop insurance was sold, it was quite difficult to sell the concept to farmers. Today it's not at all difficult because most farmers want it and most bankers require it. Can there be a slight adjustment there? And then the third component of the President's proposal is crop insurance is a partnership between the government and farmers. Some commodities, we are actually subsidizing the premium by 60 to 65%. Maybe a 50-50 partnership is fair. And so those three areas do not compromise the capacity for us to have crop insurance, nor does it compromise our capacity to expand the number of products available to cover more crops as we've done. So I don't know that you necessarily equate reductions in government subsidy with not supporting the program. Depends on where the money comes from.
There was $6 billion taken out of crop insurance in terms of what goes to the insurers in the past year, and crop insurance is going to have to carry a lot more of the load. So separate and apart from what you're saying in terms of the actual program and how we make sure we have a safety net for farmers, we're going to need to emphasize crop insurance, which is going to take more funding in that part of the program, not less.
Not necessarily, Senator, because with the money that was taken was, again, at the time it was taken, insurance companies were generating 17, in some cases as much as 26% return on their money annually.
But remember, we took $6 billion out of the program already.
This brought it down to 14. Well, $2 billion went back into various programs.
And now you've got crop insurance picking up some of the help that was formerly provided by other parts of the program. crop insurance is going to have to pick that up. So there's a lot more to it than just the one piece you're talking about.
Unless you amplify crop insurance with another program, which a lot of folks are talking about, which we think, which the president recognized in his budget of providing additional resources for quote-unquote a disaster program of one kind or another.
And there'll be some of that. There'll be some of that, but we're still going to need to emphasize crop insurance. Thank you.
Good. Senator Pryor.